Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with seared scallops with orange jalapeno dressing. Really fresh, crisp, beautiful first course. And how we're going to start this is with some raw jalapeno, and you can't be afraid of jalapeno. It is a very mild pepper if you prep it this way. So we're going to take a sharp knife and just make 4 or 5 slices around the outside, and it just takes off that green flesh. We don't want any of the seeds or that white membrane. So this method, not only is it easier, but you get just the part you want to get. Each of those pieces of jalapeno, you're going to kind of slice into thin sticks, julienne if you will, and then take those strips and simply dice them small, which is called brunoise. And you can, of course, call it really small dice. If you're ever at a cocktail party with some pretentious, foodies, you can drop a brunoise on them. All right, throw those in a bowl. So I have 2 jalapeno. I'm going to give it a splash of rice vinegar, seasoned rice vinegar, and a very small pinch of salt. And because we don't have any of the seeds or membranes in the peppers, they're going to be sweet and fairly mild. And also, the sweetness of that vinegar, rice vinegar is pretty sweet, actually cuts down on the heat a lot also. Having said that, I'm going to kick it up with a little bit of red chili, some sambal, just about a half a teaspoon. That's mostly for color and just a little bit extra heat. And we're going to let that sit for 15 minutes. All right, next technique, we're going to do some orange supremes. And yes, that is one ugly looking orange, but that's okay. Because what you do is you cut off both ends, and then you take your knife, I'm using just a small serrated knife here, and you cut down in kind of a rounded motion to take off the peel. Now you got to cut enough to get down to the meat of the orange, down to the flesh. You can't leave any white or this technique doesn't work. Once you've carved off all that peel and you're right down to the flesh of the orange, simply take a sharp, small knife, and be careful because you're holding it in your hand like that. Make one cut on the inside of each of those membranes, and you see the piece of orange, the supreme of orange, comes right out. And what you have there is pure orange goodness. No chewy membrane, no bitter pith, just the essence of the orange. So I'm going to do the rest of that over the bowl so any orange juice drips right into the bowl. And when you're done and you can't get any more supremes out of that, simply give it a squeeze because the orange juice, along with the rice vinegar, is basically the dressing. All right, so after that's done, like I said, we're going to give it just a splash of extra virgin olive oil. Don't worry about trying to whisk this or emulsify it. Not necessary. This is just a really super simple, minimalist appetizer, first course. Give it a mix and just set that aside. That dressing is done. Now to our beautiful scallops. I have 4 what's called day boat scallops. They are not packed in that horrible brine that they pack the sea scallops in. If the scallops are sitting in water at the store, don't buy them. They were previously frozen or they were brined or something. Look for fresh, wild day boat scallops. I'm going to season those simply with just a little bit of salt. I'm going to take my heavy duty stainless steel pan. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of oil, vegetable oil, swirl it around to coat, and then that pan is going to be hot before I start searing these scallops. The secret to seared scallops is 2 things. Completely, perfectly dry scallops and a very hot, good quality pan. So I let that preheat for a good 3-4 minutes. When I put the scallops in, I hear that just instant sear. That has to be the case. If you put your scallops in a pan and you just see water starting to leak out and boil, the pan wasn't hot enough. Simple as that. So the pan was preheated on high. I'm going to back it down now to medium high because the pan has a lot of heat in it. So I'm going to turn the heat down a little here. I'm going to sear this for about 3 minutes on this side. Almost impossible to give you times because scallops are going to vary in size. But for this size scallop, 3 minutes was perfect. I kind of watch how it cooks up the side, and when it looks like it's almost halfway up, I go ahead and flip them over. That's kind of how I gauge it. And you can see that incredible sear. And that's what just gives it that really great sweet scallop flavor. Now, once I've turned them, I'm going to add maybe half a teaspoon of whole butter right to the middle and just let the bottoms kind of cook in that whole butter. Just gives it a little bit of extra richness, butteriness, nuttiness. And that's going to only go for about 1 more minute there. And those look awesome. To serve, so simple. I'm going to take a shallow bowl, a small shallow bowl. Now, because I only, doing a small appetizer size here, I'm just going to do 2 scallops per order. But you could do 1, you could do 4 for a bigger course. However you want to break it down. So I'm going to put a couple spoons of that beautiful, sweet, tangy, very subtly hot from the jalapeno, but not spicy, burning hot. Just a delicious heat, perfect with the citrus. I'm going to put a couple of those seared scallops down on top. No further garnish required. That is just perfect perfect as is. Alright, so give this easy appetizer a try. This might be nice for some of those fancy holiday dinners, or just when you want something delicious. Anyway, go to the site, all the ingredients are there, and as always, enjoy.